Welcome to the video on Sunrise computer training for student nurses at Jefferson Northeast. To access the Sunrise clinical documentation system, select the icon from your desktop, Sunrise 16.3 PROD. Then select the green circle icon, Sunrise SCM PRD. The first time you log into Sunrise, your screen may be blank. To select acute care, which is the documentation system used for the inpatients at Jefferson Northeast, select the My Application triangle and select acute care. Toward the upper left, current list, you will have access to all three campuses. B is for the Bucks campus, F is for Frankfurt campus, and T is for Tarsdale. Today we are working at Tarsdale 3B. We have 30 visits or 30 patients on this unit today. Notice that many of the icons and tabs are grayed out because there is no patient selected. Single clicking on any patient, their name appears at the top of the screen. This is called the header. You get some quick information about your patient, such as their room and their unit, admission date, height, weight, BMI, allergies, attending physician. This first set of numbers is their medical record or their MR ID number. And the second set of numbers is the account or AR visit number. Their age, date of birth, gender. If they were on isolation, that would also be listed up here. To access additional information on this patient, open the different tabs of their chart, such as orders, results, documents, flow sheets. Patient list is your default when logging into Sunrise. You can customize these columns here, and that's done by selecting the icon, Select Visit List column. The columns on the left are available for you to add to your patient list, such as age. And the columns on the right are those that are currently displayed. You can remove any of these by selecting and remove. You can also resize your columns, move them around, and adjust it to your liking. Basic columns is your patient's name, their location, provider. Patients admitted to a faculty group or the hospitalist group will have their physician will type their name and their phone number in that column. The oncology physicians do the same thing. You then have three optional columns: flag new, new results, and new orders, asking if you would like to be notified when you have a new result or a new order for your patient. To turn this function on, you'll double click in the flag new cell. And if we had any results, we would have developed a flag. And since we do have some new orders, we developed a flag here. A red flag would mean one of those orders is stat. A green flag means they're routine. Double click to view those new orders. Once you're familiar with the orders for your patient, you can go ahead and clear the flag. And the next time a new order is placed, you will develop a new flag here, notifying you that a new order has been placed in the system. The check orders flag is for the registered nurse. GNR, so that wording is now POLST, Pennsylvania Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. If your patient has a flag in this column, they have a POLST form signed, and that form is on the hard copy of their chart. If there were a flag in the to sign column, I would have something to co-sign. This is generally for physicians, verbal orders, and things like that. Discharge order and discharge instructions, if these were flagged, it's notifying me that there is a discharge order or discharge instructions. MSG for nursing, if there were a flag there, that is a message from pharmacy, and you would be able to double click and read that flag. If you'd like to create a personal list of just your patients for the day, you can do so by holding the control key on your keyboard and highlighting your patients for your assignment. Once your patients are highlighted, select the button Save Selected Patients, bottom right, click into the box and give it a name. This is called a personal list. Personal lists have the asterisk in the front, and personal lists are always at the bottom of this drop-down menu. I added 3 patients to my patient list. If a patient is no longer on my assignment, they've been discharged or transferred, I can highlight that patient, and then I would remove selected visits. If I need to add an additional patient to my list, I'll go back to Charsdale 3B, highlight the new patient, again, save selected patients. My name is already highlighted, and I'll okay that. The second tab is orders. These are the orders that currently exist for Charles. They're broken down into departments such as medications, respiratory, nursing, laboratory, dietary. Toward the far right of the orders is a status column, letting me know, are these still active and pending orders, or maybe they've already been discontinued, performed, or canceled. To the left is an options panel with various filters allowing you to change the types of orders that you're seeing. For example, it looks like the only filter set here is the status priority of current. So I'm only seeing the active current orders. If you would like to see orders that have been canceled or discontinued or already performed, changing that status priority, no status priority filter, and I can see there are a lot of discontinued and completed orders. Notice that active orders are bold and completed or discontinued orders are italicized and they're not bold. Changing any filters in your options panel, you'll develop a reset icon, and this will reset all your filters, taking you back to your default. If you need additional information about any order, you can double click over the order. You can see who the requesting physician was at the top, and if there's any special instructions, that's generally more toward the bottom. The other option is to right-click over an order. View allows you to view multiple items about this order, such as the history, if the order had been modified or changed. Order message manager would allow you to send a message to pharmacy about this particular drug that I'm highlighted on. Looks like it's Dilaudid. If you're not familiar with this particular drug, right-clicking and selecting View and Expert Advice. This would give you some different information, such as pharmacology, side effects, different brand and generic names. The next tab is Results. The results are defaulting to the last 3 days. This patient that I've just changed to a test patient hasn't been here since 2006, so I'll change my dates. You will see flags here. A green flag is a normal number, a red flag is an abnormal number, and the yellow flags are text results. Single clicking over one flag will show me that one result. When you double click over the flag, it changes this display view. Summary is the default, is this summary grid here. If I wanted to see everything in the particular category, say of chemistry, I could highlight the wording of chemistry, and then everything would be displayed. Report by order is the default, which is scrolling up and down, and trend will put them side by side. Back to summary. Maybe I want everything for a particular date. You could highlight the date. Or everything, maybe everything in laboratory. I could highlight the wording of laboratory. Everything would display. Again, report by order or trend. The next tab is the patient info tab. Items on the left are various things that you are able to view. We generally don't use the data entry section. This is the registration clerks section. Alerts are for the physician. Allergies and tolerances. This is one of 4 places you can look at your patient's allergies. Remember, they are also in the header. Comments is insurance information. Care providers, the attending physician, their PCP, any consulting physician, and the social worker or care management person would also be listed here as a care provider. Health issues will be their diagnosis, their past medical history, any procedures performed. Significant events is advanced directive information. Address, phone, and contact, their emergency contact would be listed here. Demographics, employer. It's telling me I do not have the privilege to view their employer. And then visit history will show you every time they've been here and what their reason for admission was. The next tab is documents. Here you'll find everybody's notes, such as physician notes, nursing notes, physical therapy notes. This includes emergency room, operating room, and inpatient areas. A single click will open the note on the right-hand side. A double click opens it in a larger window. The next tab is flow sheets. This is where most of your documentation will be done. There are various flow sheets for this particular patient. They're listed here at the bottom left of this options panel, such as vital signs, plan of care, nursing interventions, and nursing care. We'll finish reviewing the chart and then we'll come back and do some documentation here. The last tab is the clinical summary tab. And this is a summary of your patient's chart in one area. There are different views to choose from. There's a nursing handoff view. There's a nursing shift summary view. So you can get a lot of information in one place. Whichever view you prefer, you can then save display format and save that as your default view. Working with any of these tabs here, you have the option to use this icon at the top left, previous and next patient. So if I'm looking at the clinical summary for Charles, I can then look at Betty and then the other patients that are on my list as well. I'm going to go back to patient list. Other icons on the toolbar, refresh will pull in new information. Find patient and find visit. Either of these icons, you can locate a patient if you're not sure of their location. Find patient is generally more of an outpatient search, and find visit is a little bit quicker of a search if the patient is currently registered in the hospital. As long as you know a last name or a medical record number, you can search for your patient. I can see that James T. Kirk is at Tarsdale 3A in room 3351. He's currently admitted, and there's his ID and his birth date. If that's the patient you would like to add to your list, select that patient. Save selected visits toward the bottom. Again, your list name will be highlighted and okay. And I just now added that patient to my list. I now have 4 visits. Enter document. This is where physicians and nurses go to enter their assessments and their various notes throughout the day. The allergy summary. Patient's allergies will be listed here. If you need to add new allergies to this list, you can select Add New. The red fields are your mandatory fields. You can start typing or use the drop-down menu to get you there. Reactions are mandatory. However, the first option in the upper left is unknown, or you can select multiple reactions from the list. Once those red starred fields have been satisfied, the other information is optional. You can say okay. The allergies will now display in your patient header area. The work list manager is for documenting medications as well as nursing tasks. We will come back and do some documenting there. The printer icon, you change this report category on what you would like to print out. If you wanted to print results, there's a category. If you're looking to print orders, there's a category. If you would like to print a meds due list, that has its own category. To print your patient's current order summary, that category, it's considered a document, so that category is documentation reports. Whatever patient I've highlighted, I would then choose patient current order summary and whatever time frame you're interested in. You don't need to use change location or the signature manager. Drug info is another way to look up information on medications. This again will give you pharmacology, side effects, different interactions, as well as brand and generic names. The leaflet of drug information, this is done for the medical professional. The leaflets in English and Spanish, these are done in a layman's terms. These can be printed from here. Health issues is my patient's past medical history as well as their chief complaint and their diagnosis. That also will be listed here for you. Discharge instructions. This icon is opening another system which is used for patient education. To use this discharge instruction, select for the current patient. It will be pre-filled with the patient's name and their medical record number. To review the education, select Choose Title from the upper left. Education related to your patient's diagnosis or past medical history may be displayed here. You can give any of this education if needed by selecting the little checkbox. To get to additional education, select the first tab, Document by Category. There are over 5,000 educational documents here. Toward the bottom left is a search box. If you would like to preview the education, there is an option to preview highlighted. This may be available in other languages. When finished, close preview. You can have multiple documents selected for your patient. When finished, say done. And then to print those out, it's the fourth option in the upper left. And then print at the bottom. Those documents will physically print at your unit, and they will also auto-document into Sunrise what education was printed. It should document in two locations. One of those locations is now on the Documents tab. The document is called Patient Education, and I can see what education was already printed for my patient here. And the other place it documents is in the icon called the Education Log. If I say View Log, I can see what education was printed here, along with the date. The health manager will list immunizations. If the patient has had any, they would be listed here. The outpatient medication review is a list of your patient's home medications. This patient does have one, and hopefully the last dose taken has been documented. You can cancel or X to get out of there. More header info. So again, this area here in the blue is the header. This is giving you a little bit more info, such as the other active care providers. The misogram wrench is a miscellaneous icon that will take you to the intranet. Here, there's a section called nursing information. You can do height and weight conversions from pounds to kilograms and inches to centimeters. If you ever need anybody in care management, there's their phone numbers. And if you ever need a translator or a linguist, there's their phone numbers. And here's our physician phone numbers as well. The plan of care crosswalk is for nursing diagnoses. It's a reference. And I'm sorry, it's not working. And then the last icon is the clipboard here to the left of my patient's name in the patient header. This is how you can order supplies for your patient. If I needed to order something for Charles, I would like to order him an ACE bandage. I'll just type ACE. And I have a couple options here, 2, 3, 4, or 6-inch ACE bandage. Highlight the item, select add to the right or double click, and it should drop to the lower window. It's assuming I want 1. If you would like more than that, highlight the item in the lower window and select edit to the right. This is considered manual entry, where I'm typing to find what I need. The other option for searching for an order is to use the browse or the start a browse function. I can browse through these different categories, such as SPD is our supply and purchasing department. And then another way to get to those items. Once you're finished ordering your items, select submit orders for your patient at the bottom of the screen. And this is a error because we are not really in the current system. This is just a training system. You will then see those orders on your patient's orders tab, and they're generally more toward the bottom, again, under that SPD category. So that is your general overview of Sunrise. To do flow sheet documentation, we'll go to the flow sheet tab. And I will start with a vital sign flow sheet. All of the flow sheets function the same. It's just the content that's different. This patient has some flow sheets from back in 2019. For me to document my vital signs for today, I'm going to add a time column. You can do that by using the icon, or you can also right click, and it's always going to be a single time column. The current date and time displays. You can always backdate and time anything. You cannot document more than 1 hour into the future. I have a column for my current date and time. The little lock icon here at the top tells me I'm actively working here. When I'm finished, I have to remember to save it. And if you forget, you will get a pop-up reminder. Clicking into the box would allow me to document my temperature. You'll develop the pound or the hashtags. You just type over them. They will disappear. It will automatically convert it from Fahrenheit to Celsius. The third option is if you wanted to discuss if this was an oral or a rectal temperature. If any of these pop-up boxes open and you don't want to answer them, you say, okay, it'll take you to the next section. If you want to stop all the pop-up boxes, cancel or X will stop those. I'm going to go down to heart rate. If you put in an abnormal value, you'll get a red arrow. If you put in a critical value, such as a heart rate of 200, you'll get a double red arrow. My heart rate method, my heart rate rhythm, and then I'm down to respirations. SpO2 is pulse ox. Our hospital policy is if you are documenting a pulse ox, you must answer that next question. Is the patient on room air or are they on oxygen? If you ever want to free text into any of these fields, it's at the very bottom. We generally don't do the end tidal CO2s. I'll go down to blood pressure. It will automatically calculate the mean, and source would be arm, leg, Doppler. If you needed to do orthostatic blood pressures, they can be listed here. And then the last section is the height and weight. Height and weight is done in metric only. The weight method, which scale you used, is preferred to answer, please. And then my height. This pain PCA is generally, that is still done on paper. So at the end of height and weight, you're pretty much done with this flow sheet. Once I'm finished, again, I have to remember to save it. Even after I saved it, if I need to make a change, I can click right back into it. It will reactivate that flow sheet and I can make any changes. Again, I'll need to save it. If I need to change my date and time, or if I'm on the wrong patient, you can always right click over the date and time. It would allow me to change my time, or I could delete the entire column, again, if I'm on the wrong patient. It is also preferred if you label your columns with your name. That will just make life easier for your instructor so they can kind of hone in and find your column first. So by saying edit text, it's a free text box, and you can just type your name and your initials, and that will label the column. Again, just making it easier for your instructor to find your documentation. Again, I have to remember to save it. The intake and output flow sheet is required for every inpatient. I want to add a time column, again, the icon or a right click, and I will add a single time column. Again, you can change the date and time if you need to. And I now have developed this column. You will see multiple columns here. The yellow is an 8-hour total and the green is the 24-hour total. The white is the columns where you do your actual documenting. Below the dark blue or black intake, I have oral, and then I can click into the box and put my amount in here. It will take numbers only. It will not take any letters such as ML or CC. I have the option for voided MLs if I actually measured how much they voided. And if you did not, if they were not on strict INO and the patient just voided once or twice, that's what voided not saved count is used for, 1 or 2. You also had the same option for stool count unmeasured. Didn't actually measure it, but they went once or twice. I'll remember to save that flow sheet. Other flow sheets we have is a nursing care documentation flow sheet. Again, same functionality. I will add a single column, change the date and time if needed. The safety section is required for every patient, every shift. The rest of the items, such as hygiene and activity, they will differ depending on your patient and depending on your shift. All patients must have an ID bracelet verified. Suction setup must be in every room and it must be working. Always select yes. The TABS alarm for your patients. The yes is automatically expanded and open for you here. If for some reason your patient is not using the TABS alarm, then you'd have to open up the no, and you have some options here, non-applicable or refused. The bed exit alarm, or the alarms tested, or again, not applicable. And then the room redesigned for a safe path to the bathroom. Did you pick up the clutter and make sure the patient's not tripping over everything in the room? So that is the mandatory section, that safety section. And then it takes me down to hygiene, activity, positioning and dietary and things like that. So this again is going to be different for every patient. For bathing, showering, and again, if you don't want to answer them, you can say okay or cancel out. Shaving, any mouth care, peri-care, Foley care, sitz bath, PM care, and then I'm down to activity and turning. Here it is encouraged that you also add your times in. So if I turned my patient to the right side at, well, right now I'm saying that it's almost 3 o'clock. I could say I turn my patient to the right side at 12 noon. And then maybe 1 p.m. out of bed to chair. Assistance, amount of time out of bed. return to bed, number of people to assist returning them to bed, do they ambulate, any ambulatory devices such as a walker or a cane, distance ambulated, were they on complete bed rest, with bathroom privileges, do they have a bedside commode, were they sleeping at all, did they dangle, did they sit on the side of the bed and dangle for a little bit, patient positioning such as head of the bed elevated, heels elevated off the bed, the bed positioning, how many degrees was it elevated, any immobilization or rotation devices, positioning devices, location again, turning, and then feeding. Which meal was it? And how much did they take? And that is the end of that flow sheet. Again, I will remember to save it. And then the last flow sheet we'll look at is the nursing intervention flow sheet. Again, same functionality. I will add a single time column. Again, it is helpful for you to right-click, edit text, and label your column. What do we have here? We have some frequent observations, such as, did the patient sleep? Did you do nursing rounds? Were they on any precautions or isolation? Did you do any heat and cool applications, such as ice packs? Pin and casting care, and any special equipment in use. Again, I'll have to remember to save that flow sheet. So the vital sign flow sheet, the nursing care flow sheet, and the intake and output flow sheet are mandatory for all patients. The nursing interventions is optional, depending if you did any of these items. And that concludes your quick tutorial on Sunrise for student nurses. If you have any additional questions or need assistance, please contact the help desk at 215-612-4026.